Hello my soccer universe. Well, I wanted to make this a rather short video, but this was not only a very eventful round, there were also quite some events off the pitch that were kind of big, and of course we're talking about Milan. That's why I decided to wear the Milan third jersey that they, I would argue controversially, were wearing at home against Roma. On the other side, I could understand with the contrast, but that's not the big story that we need to talk about in this video. We had three top games, arguably. We had the biggest one in terms of table between Lazio and Atalanta that ended up in a draw, meaning now that Inter, with their win at Cagliari, are in the process of overtaking Atalanta. If you adjust for games played, Inter are already top and Inter look really scary overall. The second one was between Juve and Fiorentina, ended also in a draw. Juve still without a loss. However, they have 11 draws in their 18 games that they have played. Fiorentina at least get a little bit of a bounce back. That's actually a big boost for them, getting points off Juve. And then of course Milan Roma also ended up in a draw. And so, of course, Fonseca sacked. However, in typical new Milan fashion, this was anything but elegant, because you let Fonseca go and have the press conference where he says, I'm still kind of certain in my post here. And then he drives out to San Siro saying, I've informed that I have been sacked, and yes, I have done everything I could, and I leave with a clear conscience. And I actually believe that, because to me, Fonseca was not the biggest problem at this club. I mean, we don't need to talk about the club leadership, that's the biggest problem, but I also think that the squad is very poorly put together with characters that don't gel and don't like seemingly some softer hands like they had already with Pioli, like they potentially had now with Fonseca, who actually wanted to build a team. You could see that Fonseca maybe was not the exciting appointment that will obviously take Milan to the next level. Yes, I take that point. However, I saw what Fonseca has done at Roma. They played really well. Not very consistent, but it was very attractive to watch. I saw what they did with Lille also after a rather rocky first half of the season. Second half of the season, Lille took off last season. So, I wanted to believe in Fonseca. I really did. However, fire that did him, and I think it's down to the squad. And in comes now Sergio Conceição. Potentially should have hired him at the beginning of the season. He is more of a drill sergeant of a coach, I would argue. He has done great things at Porto with a very limited budget. I heard Porto fans that said, with all the resources that we have, he vastly outperformed the means that we have. He has more of a defensively solid style, and they have been performing better against big teams than against smaller teams, which is actually what we saw with Milan this season as well. I hope that his attitude and his, hating to lose attitude will turn this Milan squad around. I don't know if he will fit tactically with this Milan side. However, it's gonna be definitely interesting. Milan are going now off to the Supercoppa together with Juve, Atalanta and Inter. And yes, I'm not gonna talk much about the Supercoppa. Maybe you will get to know the winner from me. But I will focus on Serie A, because Supercoppa is A bogus tournament, B, it's played in Saudi Arabia. So why bother with that one to begin with, even if Milan should win the trophy? I will not really count it. Fact is, the call has been made seemingly from up top by Cardinale himself, not even consulting seemingly with Ibrahimovic. We don't know whether he's pro or contra that move. And yes, he's now the strong man after all these really weird comments that he made over the break. But, it had to be, I guess, done. I think for me, Fonseca was for quite a while a little bit of a dead man walking. Not really dead man, but you know what I mean. And now it just happened. He had Christmas as a Milan coach. He will enter the new year a free agent, and they actually paid him off with a release clause, and it is not on the books of the team anymore, which I guess is shrewd business. At least one thing that this Redbird leadership is bringing, if they're not bringing a whole lot more. But I would say enough of Milan. Let's jump into this round, and then we'll talk a little bit about the overall situation and also where it's gonna take us in the new year. The last Serie A round of 2024 started out with two low-profile fixtures that really came alive in the second half. In the first one, Genoa took a lead at Empoli right after the halftime break. However, Empoli had then the big chance for equalizer from the penalty spot. However, Esposito sees his one saved. And as the game progressed, Ekuban actually gave Genoa a 2-0 lead after Miretti assist. Esposito then makes up for his miss, pulls one back. However, Empoli tries the might, cannot get an equalizer. Over in Parma, we also had a very nondescript first half. However, Monza had a goal disallowed. The game then almost turned when Pablo Mari was sent off with a second yellow card and a penalty given for Parma that Hernani then converts. However, then Monza were the better team in the second half because Parma suddenly were more lying back, and especially when Juric came on for Maldini, he was a thorn in the side of Parma. Thought he had gotten an equalizer, was not given for an offside, but then Pereira actually gets the equalizer in the 85th minute, and you really think that Monza, who actually had fired Nesta just before that round, might start a comeback, because that's a team that should definitely be better. However, then it's a late surge by Parma that results in the corner, the last kick of the game. It's played to the near post, and there's Valenti, and he puts it into the net. Last kick of the game. Very dramatic win for Parma. In Cagliari, where a new stadium is about to be built, there was not that much drama as in the other two games. Maybe the biggest drama is when will Inter score. Cagliari held on in the first half to the 0-0 draw. However, Bastone in the 53rd minute, completely forgotten, gets the go-ahead goal. Then Lautaro Martinez in the 71st seals the deal, and Çalhanoğlu from the penalty spot makes it 3. However, it was the evening clash between Lazio and Atalanta that really had everybody's attention. It was quite an intense and interesting one with two very different halves. In the first half, Lazio really attacked Atalanta and really cut them open. Had a few chances. Atalanta really didn't know what hit them. And in the 27th minute, Rovella plays a quick through ball to Dele Bashiru, who runs through on goal, makes it 1-0 for Lazio. Actually fully deserved at that point. Only late on, Atalanta had a chance for an equalizer. Second half though, I don't know why, but Lazio were hanging back. Maybe it was the pressure, but it seems like Atalanta cannot really find the breakthrough. It was only half chances, but then it's a brilliant move, starting with Zaniolo, who takes an errant ball in the box, more or less kicks it over his shoulder into the path of Lookman, who quickly finds Brescianini, who can put it into the empty net. Suddenly Atalanta had a whole lot more energy to them, were pressing for the winning goal, but could not really find it. Maybe they could have even considered a counter-attack to lose that game, but Atalanta's winning streak snapped with the draw, and if Inter now win their game in hand, Inter ahead in the table. The Serie A Sunday saw only one winner in Napoli and 3 draws. It started out with a 2-2 draw between Udine and Torino, where Udine actually had a 2-0 lead early in the second half through Toure, the tallest man in the league, and of course Lorenzo Lucca heading one in, but quickly answered by Jay Adams, who, after 2 Udine defenders collide in front of the goal, he takes a shot that is still parried by Sava. However, on the rebound he gets it in, really wills it in, and then just a few minutes later Samuele Ricci makes it 2-2. You thought that Torino can get the turnaround, but actually the better chances then fell to Udinese. The only winner of that it was Napoli, and they even had to struggle for that. Yes, Napoli created so many chances, however saw one saved after another by Venezia goalie Stankovic, who had his biggest save of course in the 37th minute when he saved a very well taken Lukaku penalty, although he was falling even before Lukaku took the shot. So I think Lukaku, with a little bit more awareness, might have put it away. It was not the day of Lukaku. He hit the post also in the second half, but then in the end it was Raspadori who slots one home after David Neres takes a ball down really brilliantly, puts it in the box to McTominay. It is deflected ahead of him, right to Raspadori, who puts it into the net. It's the winner for Napoli. Venezia had a couple of chances, especially in the first half, that were dangerous. By second half it was just holding on and not getting it over the line. The game between Juventus and Fiorentina is one of those other rivalries. I like to call it Fiorentina North against the mothership, because Juve just see Fiorentina as a supermarket that can pick and pluck the best players from, like they did now with Nico Gonzalez, like they did with Vlahovic, and that played majorly into the game early on when Vlahovic missed a chance for Juventus. Loads of abuse was hurled at him, most of it racial, so the game had to be stopped there. But Juventus were overall the better team, take the lead through Kefren Thuram. However, Moise Kean gets the equalizer against his former club and was duly not celebrating. In his case I can understand it, because in the second half Kefren Thuram, or in the 48th minute, re-establishes the lead for Juve, and Juve actually had the chances, most importantly through Gatti, to extend that lead. However, David De Gea really held tight and didn't let any further goal in. And then it is Cambiaso who falls over near his penalty box. Fiorentina keep the ball, cross is whipped in. Moise Kean somehow gets it to Sotil, who one times it brilliantly into the net. Points dropped for Juventus, still unbeaten. However, with 11 draws out of 18 games. Mad statistic. Another disappointing result, this time a 1-1 at home to Roma, ends Fonseca's tenure with Milan. But one after the other. I actually thought this was a game that no one could afford to lose, and that's how it actually started. It also was odd to see Milan playing at home in their third jerseys, which is something I really do not like. Third jersey should only be used away from home when the away jersey doesn't work, but yeah. I even would argue that Serie A said, well, this Roma away jersey has so much reddish tones in there that it might be better if Milan play in an all dark look. Be it as it may, I actually thought that the game really started up brightly. Both teams going for the win. Milan slightly better and taking the lead through a really nice combination via Fofana, who then sees, who else, Tijani Reinders, glide into the box and slotting it home. 1-0 Milan in the 14th minute. And I really thought this might be the spark that will ignite Milan. However, Roma was well in the game and got a very beautiful equalizer when Dovbyk backheels it towards Dybala, who then one time is also out of the air into the corner. There was no chance for Mike Maignan. I think even before that, Roma already had hit the post through Dovbyk as well, but the majority of chances were with Milan. Then the game took a little bit of turn for the ugly when late in the first half a penalty was not given after a foul on Reinders that incensed Fonseca so much that he even got sent off with a second yellow card, and other Milan players immediately were also given yellow cards like Hernandez and then Morata for unsportsmanlike conduct. I do accuse referee Fabri for really whistle swallowing most of the time. Second half, Roma suddenly just hung back. I would say for the first 33 minutes of the second half there was not much seen from Roma, and Milan actually created quite some pressure. However, it resulted in very little, and yes, with so many injuries, and even Chukwueze had to come off with a muscle injury, things were not looking good, because you see all the creative spark that is coming usually for Milan was not happening. I, on one side, was happy that Theo Hernandez showed a little bit of his former self by pushing forward. However, then very often in his finishing he was way too selfish and taking shots from situations where you really couldn't see it. Or if there was the pass, and this is almost for any other Milan player as well, I'm looking also at Emerson Royal there, you didn't see your man on time. And so many good opportunities were wasted even before they could have been created. Really, really disappointing. And then to add insult to injury almost, in the last 50 minutes you had to be lucky to not lose that game. El Shaarawy, former Milan player, and Shomurodov came on and actually created quite some trouble for Milan. El Shaarawy had a great chance that was saved by Mike Maignan. Shomurodov put a ball onto the crossbar, would have been offside, and almost then ran through on goal. However, Gabbia tackles him away. Disappointing 1-1 draw against Roma. Personally, I think under normal circumstances, a draw at home to Roma is not an ideal result, but a result that is alright, because Roma are a good club typically. But this season, Roma is not a good club, although they have shown improvement under Ranieri. And in Milan's situation, anything but a win is not helping the position in the table. And then we come to the crazy scenes afterwards. At the press conference, Fonseca is asked whether he sees his position in doubt, and he says, oh, I feel quite confident, only for him to leave the San Siro, and then answering to journalists that were waiting for him that he actually has left Milan with a clear conscience. It's an unlucky reign. I think Fonseca's undoing most of the time was that he couldn't get control over a very ill-disciplined squad. That's what really annoys me, and this is the major problem at Milan at this point. The early game on Monday evening saw Como get a second consecutive home win with a 2-0 win over Lecce, and it was Nico Paz who was kind of the man of the show. He had the first half penalty saved. In the second half, Cutrone assists him for the 1-0, and then Cutrone himself makes it 2-0 in the 79th minute. There could have been more goals for Como in there as well. Overall, a very convincing win. And then it ended with an absolute crazy 3-2 away win for Verona, a stunner in a way, because Bologna were in really good form going into this game, were largely the better team. Took even a 1-0 lead through Dominguez in the 20th minute and were pushing for the second one. When then Lukumi fell over, Tankstead takes over the ball, plays it into Sar, and it's 1-1. And then a similarly weird situation suddenly saw Tankstead just at the end of the first half, free in front of the goalie. Brilliant pass by Serda, and it's 2-1 for Verona against the run of play. It turned in even more against Bologna when Pobega was sent off for a really stupid elbow, and I can see his frustration because there was not much of an elbow, and definitely there was an embellishment from the Verona side. However, he put the elbow up, so you gotta be sent off. I'm sorry to say it as much. However, it was Bologna that was pushing him for the equalizer and got it after a free kick to the post. Is slotted home by Dominguez, who gets his second of the evening. And again, more initiative for Bologna. However, it's then a Castro own goal from a free kick that gives Verona an absolutely crazy and mad 3-2 away win. Well, the top looks very enticing. 2 teams on 41, Napoli on level on points with Atalanta, at Inter just a point behind, and they have a game in hand at Fiorentina. Not an easy win, but I would expect Inter to win that one, so virtually Inter are now top of the table. Lazio already a little bit of a distance, and there's Juve, there's Fiorentina in there. As I said, Juve still unbeaten with so many draws. They're far off the top. And then there's Bologna and Milan. If there's any positive from this round for Milan, it is that Bologna actually lost, so in that sense you are now just a point behind Bologna, and maybe with a win at Bologna you could overtake them, although I find Bologna a really solid team at this moment. Also, if we look towards the bottom of the table, there is now a clear 3 teams that are on the bottom: Cagliari, Venezia, Monza. Monza have fired Nesta. Maybe this is a team that definitely should not be on the bottom there, so I think they might mount a comeback. Lecce dangling, Cagliari, Venezia, I could see both of them getting out of there. The question is, who will they drag down? I would say anyone from Empoli downward is in danger. The first round of the new year is not a complete round because of the Supercoppa, so we have the 3 last games are being played mid-January in the midweek. However, we have 2 pretty big ties. We have Fiorentina against Napoli, also 2 big traditional Serie A teams, and then of course the Roman derby, and it is absolutely instrumental that Ranieri gets something against Lazio there, otherwise the Roma season is already completely lost. Of course, Lazio under Baroni are one of the positive surprises for the season so far and will do their best to avoid that. So this ends the year 2024 of me covering Serie A. What a tumultuous year it was. It was the year of Inter, that much is for certain. However, we are ending this year with a 3-way title race, which I think is quite exciting, although I still think that Inter will cruise through. It was of course also a year to forget for Milan, and I hope with Sergio Conceição now at the helm, there will be an uptick in performances and a little bit more of a winning mentality. In any case, I want to wish you a happy new year 2025. And as always, I will talk to you soon about more things in my Serie A universe. Bye! Hey there! I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, here are some videos and playlists that you may enjoy too. Also, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the little bell icon so you get notified whenever something happens in my soccer universe. And with that, have a wonderful day. Bye!